So. Dann wollen wir mal gucken, ob wir noch... Haben wir eine Karte oder sowas? Ich glaube nicht. To the sources. Ja, da können wir doch durch. So dick werden wir nicht sein. Nicht in dieser Umgebung. Ich möchte alles erforschen. Alles sehen. Alles. Gut, dann ich will aber nochmal gucken, ob wir vielleicht oben nochmal irgendwo anders lang konnten. Ich bin mir gerade nämlich nicht sicher. Ob uns das vergönnt war. Das ist jetzt hier direkt nach der Aufnahme von Virginia und ich bin immer noch saumüde, unkonzentriert und noch nicht ganz im Kopf da. Allerdings habe ich das Gefühl, ich laber jetzt nicht mehr so viel Scheiße. Ach ja, ja, hier waren wir. Hier ja auch. Aber dann gucken wir mal, ob es hier noch einen Weg gab. Ich glaube nicht, ne? Hier gab es nur das Tor. Ach doch. Ah, nee, hier sind wir auch runtergegangen. Richtig. Follow the water. So the water will be our guide through this maze of stone and metal. Okay, dann gehen wir weiter. Da bleibt uns eigentlich momentan nur die eine Tür noch mit Exit. Der eine Weg, der den Exit anzeigt. So. Hier ist auch dicht, ne? Ich weiß auch nicht, ob wir interagieren können. Also mit X, glaube ich, geht das, wenn denn, aber... So. Auf nach oben. Genau, von... Da kamen wir, da haben wir diese Box, glaube ich, gefunden, ne? Genau, Residence waren wir. Also, Exit. Watch your step. Also hier waren wir schon. Ja. Ist das ein Fahrstuhl? No smoking allowed. Aha.
Shall I ascend to your lungs and feel your breath? I think that would be lovely.
Ich weiß nicht, was er gesagt, also was sein erstes Wort war, was zu unseren... Ah, Loading. Auch ein sehr künstlerisches G gewesen. To them. Me, them. Okay. Schön, dass die Kapitel auch Namen haben. Wir sind also in Stockwerk 4. Oder Untergeschoss 4, ich bin mir nicht sicher. Oh, hier hat jemand...
Simple little animals, aren't they? Filthy, no doubt, but can you really blame them? I suppose that if I were to hate them for their nature, I would be just as filthy. It's an odd position. To hate a rat for being a rat is to make oneself a rat all the same.
Ja, hat er recht. Hat er recht. Aha. Igitt. Ich weiß nicht, was wir sehen, aber es ist, glaube ich, nicht der Hintergrund hier. Nun gut, das waren also die Toiletten. Oh, hier gibt es ja noch mehr. Ich hätte erwartet, hier finden wir irgendwas. To read oder so. Irgendwas zum Lesen. The watching eye is being watched by other eyes. All are watching each other. So ungefähr. Aha, make the leap. Wie sogar ein geschlossenes Auge. Interessant. Hat da gerade jemand? Oh, ich muss gerade. Oh Gott, ich glaube, ich bin mit eingebildet. Bin mir aber nicht sicher. Ja, habe ich mir eingebildet. Bin mit fast sicher. Ich weiß es nicht. Okay. Hier ist verschlossen. Bleibt uns nur der Weg. Damit können wir bestimmt das Tor da hinten umgehen. Oder was ist... Hier ist noch was anderes. East Axis.
No one ever told me. Not that I know anyone. Apparently, after the Guild took this area from the Order, they felt the need to block off the tunnel leading to an access point dumping into the unclean water. Everyone knows not to drink it, so why block the path?
Das weiß ich auch nicht. Außer sie verschweigen irgendwas. Irgendwas Wichtiges. Das ist ja der Hammer. Ha 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 ha. Ah, Wortwitze. Okay, hier runter. Finden wir irgendwas Interessantes? Ein Bild. Ich glaube ein Polaroid. Oder? Ja, weiß ich nicht. Muss in groß dann. Aber weiß es nicht. Aha. Solomon's note unlocked. So. Where does this way lead us? Except for an unlocked gate. Well, apparently not that far. East Axis, schon wieder. Gibt noch, schauen wir. Okay, das heißt, da geht's aber raus, da will ich noch nicht hin. Ich möchte mich erstmal weiter umgucken. Das ist Top Priority gerade.
I don't think I'm a particularly condescending person. I'm just frustrated. I don't understand why we have to keep doing this. This conflict. Unfortunately, telling a group of people what they're doing incorrectly communicates that you yourself are doing that thing correctly. If only that were true. If only I was above this, rather than beneath everything.
Intelligence received notice of capture prisoner named Bell. Execute on suspicion of espionage. Locate conspiring operative Solomon. Likely to be in your ranks. Use extreme caution. Sending investigator. Objectives. Push north towards subway access. Aid will come from sea. Intelligence. Notice of execution received. Notice of investigator arrival received. Objectives. Leave water treatment facility. Secure subway access. Tunnel blocked via explosives. Bypass secure Jerusalem and push east. Okay, wirkte wie zwischen eine Operation Central. Aber kann doch natürlich von irgendwem gefunden worden sein, hierher gebracht worden sein. Auch gut möglich. Oh ja, das kann man richtig gut lesen. Gar nicht, nämlich. Gar nicht. Gucken wir mal hier. Ne, warte mal, hier sind wir schon. Achso, hier sind wir jetzt. I know where we are. Okay, warte mal. Solomon's Notes. Eins. Okay. Note 1, 4th of January. My name is irrelevant and I am alone since the fall. Everything has become irrelevant. I often wonder if this opinion is a realization brought about by the fall, making it true even before, or perhaps the irrelevance is the result of the fall, but the matter itself is as irrelevant as my name. Another more relevant matter is that of the cause of the fall. Unfortunately, I cannot help you here. All that I know is that it was not sudden. Society collapsed like an aging mind, losing its organization slowly without being cognizant of the decline. There was no single event that I can trace. It was not violent or chaotic. There was no dramatic scuffle. No, we fell gradually and painlessly, as structure simply melted away, so I cannot give you an accurate macro story. There's only this micro perspective. I do not have a legitimate reason to write of this perspective, of course, and it seems particularly unlikely given our current, let us say, dilapidated climate, that anyone will even discover this mental spillage, much less read and find value in it. Regardless, I write of my perspective all the time. I will write of a great many things. In fact, I will write countless notes until that long-awaited day of my release from reality, because legitimate reasons are for those who have attempted to grasp some sort of structure. The structures are gone. It is all gone. All that is left is an empty world for me to wander aimlessly with all the pomp of a king, as if my continued existence were anything but the result of a biologically programmed will to survive and a cowardice to stifle nature's plans. Certainly, I would prefer to be dead, and I imagine this depresses you. You should not worry, though, because this is not the sort of suicidal will that is born of an intense sadness. Rather, this is a desire for death born of a hollow life. The end, at this point, seems like an unfinished work of an already pointless existence. Thus, you should not worry as if I'm in pain, or as if I'm some wounded animal that should be snuffed out to stop the suffering. There is no suffering, there is nothing. I am no longer anything, and thus I am useless. Useless things should be tossed aside, like garbage to be incinerated. Beyond this, the worry would be unwarranted on another level. I suspect that if you find these, I will have died well before. I should note that I'm fully aware of the other survivors, reader. There are few in this complex, although I really do despise that term. Among the present humanity, I'm one of the last who is old enough to remember the fall, and I know that it was far less dramatic than our stories typically tell or told. To call us survivors is to imply that the fall was something difficult to survive. There are not nearly as many of us around, certainly. But that is because we stopped breeding and spread out, not because we died. The fall brought stagnation more than death, and stagnation brings a different kind of decay. It brings a slow decay. Like me, our world became useless, and the natural process of crumbling took over. So at last, a single question remains. That is, should you read this at all? At this point, it should be obvious that I cannot give you any reason to do so. You are one of two types of people. The first type, the type that is far more common, is someone who has only ever known the fallen world. The second type, one that you are probably not, is someone who has lived just long enough to recursively recognize the decline to the first type. These notes will be extremely depressing. For the second, these notes will present nothing that has not already been seen or felt. There is no third type of person who could find this useful. They're all gone. My name is irrelevant. I am alone. Oh Gott, wie weit geht? Alter Schwede. Note 2, 6th of January. It occurred to me that these notes will likely be found in my home. Meaning and description of the place is unwarranted. Therefore, rather than give you an image of what is undoubtedly the least tasteful residence in existence, I would like for you to think of this particular note as a series of directions. Only follow these directions if you are so inclined to discover my material life, like a detective searching for clues leading to a murder. Murder, incidentally, was what those of us before the fall called the intentional killing of another human being. We had structures in place to discourage and prevent that sort of thing, never really changing the fact that people wanted to do so all the time. Anyway, you should start by examining my desk. There you will see my typewriter and my papers. The usual papers are sealed away in the drawers on the right side, so as to prevent longer requiring them, and I do hope that you will keep the typewriter somewhat intact. I realize that it has potential as a wellspring of scrap, but I have a deep fondness for it as machinery. It has its use and it carries it out semi-flawlessly, without question or complaint. I admire that about the machines of old. Oh, that reminds me. I should also mention my pens. If you check the third drawer from the top on the left side of the desk, you will see a collection of unused mechanical pens designed for writing by hand, similar to the chalk or pencils you are probably familiar with. The pens have a store of ink inside of them, much like the typewriter, so they are somewhat limited. Do take care of this equipment. I am aware that writing as an endeavor is not something humans seem to have kept from our pre-fallen state, but it is extremely important that someone continues to write who is more capable than myself. With these tools I am just as useless as before, but someone with more content can produce something of worth. Alter, okay, das wird ein langer Text. Moving along, on the opposite side of the room, there is a brick wall with wooden boards sitting at the base. If you would like to use this room as a residence, I am now obviously not in position to decline, not what I would have been had I still been alive. Indeed, if you do take this room, the brick wall you see there will become extremely important to you. If you examine it closely, you will see that some of those bricks, the ones at eye level, are loose. The windows are boarded for the obvious reasons, but these loose bricks provide a quick way to observe the exterior world. Avoiding surprises is always a useful key to avoiding release from existence. It's best to keep watch of your own prison, I find. Of course, if you are caught by surprise, there are various clubs and spears under the mattress near the kerosene lamp. Oh, But who am I fooling? I'm sure you have a better collection of weaponry. Finally, you should be aware of my storeroom. There's a floor panel in the middle of this upper room that acts as a door to a basement where you will find a great wealth of canned food. Most of it may be spoiled by now, but some of the simpler materials should be edible or at least marketable. Along with the cans, there are several can openers hanging on the wall beside the stairs. These irreplaceable and curiously simple tools seem to be the most valuable assets in our world. Also, and this final instruction is incredibly important, do not introduce heat into this basement. It has considerable airflow from the outside because of its barred but open windows on two orthogonal walls, so it is always quite cold. Food does not spoil if it is refrigerated, which is an old way of saying chilled. We had large machines that did this for us, some of which you may see littering the old residential areas, but we have to resort to other means of achieving this effect now. Okay, nicht mal die Hälfte von dem ersten. Once the seasons turn and summer approaches, you will need to scavenge for more canned resources. This is the most dangerous time of the year. While I'm sure you are capable enough, you should be aware that the heat of the sun will prevent the refrigeration effect that I previously mentioned, spoiling your new store of materials. Do your best to find more, and eat only what will spoil quickly so that you can save the canned material for the winter. I'm not sure of the route you took to get into this complex, but the only entrance I am aware of is the single door on the south side. The main double doors should be completely blocked off from the interior. I made sure that this single door is easily accessible, but it is also easy to defend. I recommend some sort of blocking system that you can move to and from the door on the inside, though traps may be more suitable for you. Personally, I could never stomach the thought. It was not due to a sensory or even emotional inability, mind you, as I had seen enough to be fairly immune to the disgusting nature of the death process. Rather, I could never justify taking a life, or even maiming one, to protect one that is undeniably lesser. Oh, and while considering the topic of protection, I will say that you should avoid other scavengers over the course of the summer, even while you are outside of this complex. I can't really make the case that they are terribly malicious, but people have a way of abandoning decency when their quest for prolonged life is jeopardized. That is to say, canned food is obviously sparse, and they will fight you for it just they'd fight you for my abode. I only bring this up because in the old times we all expected the world to turn into a dangerous place after any sort of fall. I guess we adopted the idea so as to justify structure. In truth, the world did not become more dangerous, rather it became quiet, sleeping on its deathbed. Humanity clings on to life for no other reason than instinct, all the while deserving nothing but a swift end. But what am I saying? You know this again. You're here. You're fit. You conquered the obstacle of your own mortality to arrive at mortality's playground, and I would suggest you feel pride in the whole ordeal wasn't so manifestly pointless. On that note, I do not know why I'm even bothering to help you. I think that I already like you because you managed to find my residence. I suppose that demonstrates at least a modicum of talent. I have none of that, at least none that would matter in this world, so I appreciate it in you, reader. For all I know, well, I don't know anything, do I? I'm dead, I should say. For all I would have known, you could be a terrible person. You could be one of those who have sacrificed decency and empathy at the altar of pragmatism, as if your actions are excusable because of your fear of death. Still, you would possess talent all the same. Interestingly, people of this sort existed well before the war, that is, vile people. I often get the sense that you and the others view the pre-fallen world as a sort of mystical place of happiness and good. Nonsense. People were just as terrible. The fall acted as a great unveiling force for the observation of these people. The only difference between this world and the old world is that we now experience considerably less comfort. Comfort, it seems, acts as mud in otherwise clear water. It became difficult to see just how terrible humanity was through the various social cues and structures we adopted, tricking ourselves into believing that we were evolved. I don't feel proud of it. I don't feel proud that I saw what people were through, what they pretended to be, even before the fall. I was a misanthropist. Can you blame me? If you think I'm wrong, then you are an idiot. If you think I'm pointlessly negative, then you are asking me to lie. Dishonesty is by far the most offensive crime, and to lie to myself is worse than to lie to anyone else, because I spend more time with myself than others, making the prospect even more dangerous. If I were to lie about what people are in order to make myself happy, all I would accomplish would be making myself one of them. I would make myself a rat by ignoring the pack. To be fair, it could simply be social idiocy. Idiocy? The idea has been presented to me as essentially everyone I have ever known, though the number of said individuals is frightfully, or perhaps luckily, minuscule. The phrase sad freak has been uttered several times. However, outside perspectives tend to be the most accurate by nature of being inherently macro. I would love to believe that there is some missing place within the complex of social lives effectively justifying behavior that would otherwise be obviously abhorrent. But there is not, it seems. People are more than apparently terrible, and they manage to ignore that through social fluff, because lange Sätze. And they manage to ignore that through social fluff because they are selfish. I am selfish. I am incredibly selfish. My selfish nature is manifested in that I hide away from normal people, out of my disgust for them. Honesty has its effect. The other selfish nature that is exhibited in their continued and pointless attempts to manipulate one another for some fleeting gain. You know, for instance, you are probably one of the worst, just by nature of being here now. What debauchery do you enjoy, I wonder? How often do you manage to convince yourself that trying to maintain the good is not realistic? Ask yourself if you refuse to commit to morality, or anything for that matter, because you are afraid. Are you afraid to risk your happiness, a pathetic concept indeed, at the hands of good? Yes. You are afraid, I know you are, because you are here in my room. Perhaps you are afraid to the point of having convinced yourself that there is no morality. There is just you. Selfish people are only self-absorbed because they are afraid, and selfish people are not good people. So please do call me a freak, curse my name under your breath as you read my words. Say it, say curse, you irrelevant. I cannot stop you, and why would I? The only difference between you and I is that I am honest, and honestly, we're all cowards.